associated with him, and this is also something which we feel is against his right. Now, previously have been also widely criticized and has taken also to be politically motivated, given also his outspoken stance against the government of President Museveni. Now, the instance has sparked widespread concern, most especially on social media, with supporters and human rights organizations condemning the heavy-handed approach of the security forces. And Mr. Chagoin was on his way, according to also information we are receiving, to the facility also to stock also the station at the time of writing this story. And that is something which we didn't see happening in there. But really what happened, what exactly caused this, and is what remains unclear and also unknown in there. And that is one thing also which we shall be also looking into as we get to move on with the show. And that is one issue where we feel you as the viewer also still can be able to share your thoughts, share opinions with us, and we shall be also sharing it with the rest of the viewer in there, and that is how beautiful it is. Now the Prime Minister, Robert Nabanja, is set to conduct a comprehensive inspection, that is of several major roads in Kampala, today also as part of the government's efforts to evaluate and improve the city's road infrastructure. And the tour also will kick off at Sir Apollo Kagwa, near the Total Fuel station, before moving to Port Bell Road. And this inspection already will begin at Nakawa, near the Makerere University Business School, and they continue to Luzira, covering the entire stretch of the Port Bell Road. Now, according to the itinerary also from Luzira, the outrage will also, the entourage will inspect Spring Road, which will also really lead to Shell Village Mall before transitioning also to Lithuri Avenue. Now, other roads to be also reserved for inspection include 7th Street and 8th Street as well, which will serve as killings within Kampala industrial and business districts. And now the Prime Minister will also visit, that is Queensway Bridge, a vital connection that is for traffic entering and exiting the city. If you look at the Queensway, this is actually one of those roads that is now magnificent. And I believe this will also help in reducing the cases of accidents, because that road had connections and really congestion, because it is one road that connects in Zambia, on the other hand connects to Entebbe Road. Definitely, it is also really a road that deserves to be worked on, because many times that road had been having issues. Because if you look at how it connects to Zambia, areas of Chibuli, areas of Ginger Road, definitely it has been having issues because there was congestion, but now it has also really been worked on. Definitely now pedestrians will have to be required to move over the road. That means issues of being knocked are going to reduce. And now that is also something which we feel is really very much good and worth appreciated. Now, our further inspections will include that is Suna Road, Suna 2 Road, that is also Muzigo Road, Sentema 1 Road, and we have Mugema Road, which will also play an essential role, that is in easing transportation, that is the various city suburbs. And the day's activities will conclude with the return to the Prime Minister's office via Northern Bypass. Now, the system will also help identify areas in which also there is urgent need for intervention, ensuring that the city's roads meet safety and usability standards. Now, the inspection also underscores the government's commitment to infrastructure development and its determination to address challenges affecting road also networks in the capital also in there. Now, the findings from the tour are expected to also inform strategic decisions to enhance transportation efficiency for all road users, and that is how beautiful it is. And that is one thing also which at the end of the day we shall be also following up on, and we want to see how this of course will be ending and what awaits also as per that development. Now, UPC's Akena wants all party members to elect president. That is another story which we are seeing. This is in the world of politics, and now Uganda Post Congress party president in the names of Akena is now calling upon all party members to elect president. That is also something which we are seeing happening. And definitely many people who subscribe to the party, the red people, the people who used to wear red. I remember while growing up, one people also had how you would be able to identify a person associated with the UPC is definitely the black and red. Today, the party has also gone down. How shall we see this happening? Now, Uganda Post Congress party president, Jimmy Akena has unveiled plans to amend the party's constitution in a bid that is to consolidate and strengthen its leadership, and that is also something which we are seeing now. He made the remarks while speaking at the UPC headquarters. That is where Mr. Ken emphasized the proposed amendments, all aiming to make election of the party president more inclusive and democratic enough in there. Now, under the current constitution, the party president is elected by the district councils, with the candidates also required to secure victories in one at least third of the districts nationwide. And Kenya's proposal seeks to shift their process, allowing all party members to directly participate in electing their leader. Now he expressed confidence that the proposed also changes will strengthen the party's grassroots support ahead of the 2026 general election. And if you look at the 2026 general election today, we are not very far from it. And that is why we are seeing many possibly, most especially those seeking for these positions, trying to reorganize themselves and strategize themselves to see how, of course, they will be convincing those voters. And this goes to the voters. This is the time actually you should be looking out on who exactly will be representing you for the next coming 5 years. You must be looking at them right now. You must also be undertaking surveys of how these people are. What did they do? What are their characters? And that will also, at the end of the day, make sure that whoever is in there is also not left out in there and also excluded out. And that is where we want to see how, of course, many people who need these positions will be able to be voted in different capacities in there, and that is where we shall be seeing that happening. Now the proposed amendments will be presented at the party's next delegates conference, scheduled for next year. Now I can also use the occasion to address also what we call critics of his leadership, asserting that he has surpassed the achievements of his predecessor. Now the proposed constitutional changes are expected to ignite significant debate within the party, especially among those who have previously raised concerns about Kenya's leadership style and direction of the UPC, and that is one thing which we are therefore keenly following up on and want to see how, of course, this will be moving on, and this will also be ending in there is what we are waiting to see how it will be ending. Now, fire destroys furniture workshop in Buera, and that's the story, because this is also going to be leaving many point losses, and that is how we also intend to also let you know of what's happening, because during this period we do not expect people now to incur losses, because I believe it's not a time for losses. It's a time where people must not have stress. People should be having enjoyment, relax the brain, relax the whole year of stress, because you have been working right from January up to this period. Therefore, you deserve also within these few days, within these few weeks maybe, for those who have also been granted leave, to also enjoy, unlike us who are going to be here paka last. There's no holiday, and on Christmas or New Year still we are going to be here to inform you and let you know of what's happening. We are going nowhere, but for those who have the holidays, definitely you must now sit there and wait on what we shall be telling you, maybe in terms of what has happened elsewhere. But if you have the opportunity, definitely you need to sit down, relax and enjoy it also with your families in there. But we also pray that fire should not also really destroy your happiness. And now we are seeing also a devastating fire that broke out in the evening of yesterday. That was already at a furniture shop in Pondwe, Lubira Town Council. That is in Buera, also reducing property worth millions of shillings to ashes. Very much sad and very much difficult, because some of these goods are actually others, maybe others will be buying for their homes. Within this period, now it has been destroyed. This is first of all putting those who need this furniture, maybe going to other areas. Then secondly, those who have made this, they're going to be incurring losses. Now the workshop was owned by Didier Baluku, and it was completely destroyed in the blaze, and that is something which we feel very, very much about. Now the territorial police in Buera division has launched an investigation into the incident. Now preliminary findings suggest that the fire was caused by an electrical short circuit stemming from poor wiring system, and this goes back to the owners of these businesses. The onus is on you to make sure that you use, first of all, qualified and maybe people who are experts in electrical connection, because many of times when we see issues of such caliber, we tend to always run short circuits. This is very much bad, and that means let's embrace professionalism. Let's also embrace those who are skilled to do our wirings, and let's check our buildings also over time, and that is where we feel at the end of the day many people are going to be safe on. Now police and also fire and rescue services responded to the scene and successfully prevented the fire from spreading to the nearby properties. Now, however, by the time of the flames also were extinguished, the damage of the workshop was extensive, and most of the equipment and materials were destroyed. And Nelson Tumusime, the police spokesman for Rwenzori East Region, urged the public to prioritize fire safety and electrical standards to prevent similar incidents. And that means, just like this man definitely you must also be able to improve on your business, because if you do not also become one to incur such losses like him, then you must therefore solely make sure that you strategize and use experts to do your wiring. Now, while no injuries or fatalities were reported, the financial loss has left the workshop owner and the employees devastated, and now the police are continuing to investigate the circumstances surrounding the fire to determine if additional safety measures are needed to prevent such incidents in future. Now, authorities are also urging residents to adhere to fire safety guidelines and ensure that wiring systems in their homes and businesses meet the required minimum standards. And that is how, at the end of the day, people are going to be avoiding losses. Because if you do not want to avoid losses, then it is time that you should be able to solely use qualified men to do your wiring. And that is how, at the end of the day, we shall be seeing those changes solely, and those issues also of risks being avoided. And that is how, at the end of the day, we shall be seeing that happening. And remember, as we are heading also towards the festive season, my reminder is that let's be mindful of our spendings and our expenditure, because January is not very far from now. That is when we shall be seeing schools reopening, and we shall therefore also have to be required to send our children back to school, because they will have to be sent. Whether we like it or not, the children will not be required to stay home, because them heading back to school is a right to education, which is actually one of those rights bestowed upon them. And that is why, as parents, let's work towards also making sure the children have their right to education be fulfilled. And that is why we are saying also entirely leaving the children on government is not the way to go, because government may give you UPE, government may give you USE, but government is not going to be providing scholastic materials and money for feeding, because whether we say it is free, still we know there's a portion that is being paid by the government-aided primary schools, most especially those under UPE. Recently, I was at one of the schools, and I was able to hear information of money that is about 49,500, but still some parents are finding it hard to pay this money. And then that means sometimes also we are not serious. I don't want to say sometimes as parents, some parents are not serious, because 49,000, if you really pay 20 at first, you can't pay 20,000. Then the 9,500 in the last edition, still you are going to be allowed your children to proceed. And that is why we're saying, despite government paying for the rest, we still have a mandate of paying this money. Now, a head teacher has been remanded for providing false information on pupil enrollment. Is another story we're seeing, where the head teacher of Butali Church of Uganda Primary School, that is Robert Wolishe, has been arraigned before the Masaka Chief Magistrate Court on charges of providing false information. Very much sad and very much ironic at the same time, because this is a Church of Uganda's primary school where we expect honesty, where we expect also people to fear and also have fear for God. And this is where, if we start seeing such stories, then people are going to be losing trust in such also education. And that is where we have been where we're able to see the man in the names of Robert Wolishe, who has been the teacher, that is of Butali Church of Uganda Primary School, has been remanded until December 23rd. That means he will be coming 2 days before Christmas. If at all, he will be given bail. Now, according to charges, between February and May 24, Wolishe submitted incorrect pupil enrollment records for Masaka City Education Officer, that is the office of the Masaka City Education Officer, claiming that the 423 university primary education pupils had been enrolled, which was not true. And that is where we are saying this should also really serve as a warning to you, also head teachers, who are also really going to be undertaking such similar activities, because you just need the money that also money is going to be, government is going to be giving in terms of already capitation grants and also other units. Definitely you risk being arrested. Now the arrest and the arraignment of Wolishe are as a result of collaborative effort between the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, Criminal Investigations Department, and also Office of the Director for Public Prosecutions, which have also worked together to see that issues of corruption, because it's entirely corruption, are addressed within government institutions. And that is one thing which should serve as a warning to many of those head teachers who will also wish to engage in similar practices, which should also be termed as corruption, because at the end of the day, that is how bad it is. And that is one thing also which we feel, you as the viewer, or maybe you who is also watching us, and you are given the mandate of ruling, definitely you should be able to solely change your mindset and also make sure that at the end of the day, you are not part of the crew that may also be taken to jail for crimes also that may also be taken as bad. Leaving that discussion aside, EC says on track also to meet 2026 election milestones. Now we are seeing the Election Commission has confirmed that it is on course to meet the scheduled milestone for the 2026 general elections. According to officials, all key activities planned for 2024 have been completed as per the roadmap laid on earlier this year with no delays, and all this is also happening now. The roadmap was first launched in July 2024 and is designed to guide the electoral process leading to the 2026 elections. Among the major accomplishments thus far are the also successful field demarcations of constituencies and the reorganization of polling stations to ensure a smoother voting process for Ugandans. Now, despite the challenges, the EC has continued to advance its work, including addressing public concern that arose also from the electoral area demarcations, and this definitely up to now. We haven't also really seen what we call electoral reforms. First of all, in areas of new constituencies being created. Now, this effort is part of the Commission's broader goal that is to also increase inclusive and participation also in the electoral process, which is in line with Section 18, subsection 1 of the Electoral Commissions Act. Now, with much also of the groundwork also for the 2026 election already completed, the Electoral Commission is confident in its ability to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. And as the EC continues its preparations, Ugandans can now expect more updates and activities through 2025, ensuring a well-organized and transparent process come also the election day, and that is according to information now we are receiving from the EC. But what do you think about this? Do you think we shall be maybe attaining the elections very, very much well in there? Do you think we shall be beating the deadline? Is what also really remains entirely a judgment to you as the viewer. But if at all you think we shall be having also what the EC is saying, free, fair, and credible elections, feel free to share your thoughts and opinions, and I will be able to also go through them later on in there. And that is where we are going to be sort of pausing with this discussion, but we are not sort of pausing with it for now, as we are just left with about 4 minutes to run for our final break of the day, and that is where we shall be coming up with also issues of international stories, and I will be also really letting you know what's happening in the world of sports. And if you talk about sports, there is actually a big game that will be broadcast live on Western TV today. This game is also taking place in Yumbe. I will be giving you the details of this game later on, but for now, looking at other stories, Entebbe Airport passenger traffic passengers 2 million in 2024 is another story we're seeing, where Entebbe International Airport has also recorded a total of that is 2,020 international passengers between January to November 2024, reflecting an 18.7% growth, according to information we received from authorities. Now, according to Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, Public Affairs Manager, that is Vianney Lugia, a total also of about 1,563 people have also been registered. That's between January to November. And international passengers arriving also to a total of about 1,000,000 also 2024 departing the country have as well been registered. Now, Lugia added that in November 2024, Entebbe International Airport recorded that that's 182,932 international passengers, including 91,867 arrivals and 91,065 departing, an average that is of about 6,097 such travelers per day. That means on average, many Ugandans and foreigners are traveling daily, amounting to about 6,097. Are you part of that? Definitely you should be asking yourself, and if at all you have not been also able to travel out of the country, then you should ask yourself how best you will be in position to also travel in the few coming days. And that goes back to prayers. You must also still pray to God that you are part of the next lot that will be able to travel. And I really believe next year is going to be coming with blessings, where you will be having this opportunity of also traversing the world with also what is good. Now, you know that there was also a 5.6% growth in relation to aircraft movements, with also 29,751 recorded in January to November 2024 in comparison to 28,167 in the same period of 23, and also 26,511 in January to November 22, and that is also something which we did see. However, he noted that a reduction in transit passengers was also recorded to 99,530 between January to November, and that is also something which we feel at the end of the day is really worth talking of. And that is why we must now be planning for our journeys also come the few next days, where we shall be seeing you also part of those travelers with passport, maybe with visa, traveling outside the country. And that is what brings us to the end of also the second half, or the first half of the second hour, which is our final break, where we shall be coming back with what's happening in the world of international news. And I will be summarizing also what's happening in the world of sports. And I do understand last night we had a number of games, and I will be letting you know some of the results and some of the games that will be coming up tonight. Take a short commercial break. When we get back, we are going to be letting you know of what's happening exactly in there.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Unwrap your holiday cheers with StarTimes this Christmas season. Starting the 15th of November, simply pay your monthly subscription for the next bouquet and automatically enjoy content on the next higher bouquet, plus a chance to win exciting prizes. Your gift box contains variety of local entertainment and fresh shows, exciting cartoon and fun kids entertainment, mega superstars, local and international, a memorable trip to Spain to watch a La Liga match. And that's not all. Lots of prizes to be won, including ZTE Nubia smartphones with free 15 GB Airtel data. StarTimes gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas. This message is powered by ZTE Nubia. Better for all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back into the final half of the day, and this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477 that is on the StarTimes platform, and we are as well on Zuku, where we are on channel 0073. For those on Azam, definitely we are also in there. We hope you are having a wonderful time with us. And our final destination, of course, is 9 o'clock. My name is Farish Majid, in case you are just joining us right now, or it could be your first time watching the television. Definitely I want to assure you that this is West Nile TV, and this is also where we are broadcasting to you live from Arua City on Anyafio, where we also here to let you know of what's happening. And remember, this festive season, you must also make sure that you watch us. Definitely where we're going to be letting you know of what is making it around also in this region. And that means to you, the viewer, definitely also you deserve to also be knowing what is happening, and that is one thing also which we did see happening. Now, KC criticizes ministers for passing budget without approval, and that's what we are seeing, where Kampala Capital City Authority has criticized ministers for passing out budget without approval. What exactly happened? Maybe was that corruption? It's also what remains unclear, but if at all, maybe KC is not happy about that, definitely still they can challenge this in courts of law, and that is where, if they feel this was not done, maybe in relation to also what is happening, maybe in the really well, definitely they can still challenge it, and that is also something which at the end of the day will be very, very much well. Refugees cry for skills training in Juman district, and another story that we are seeing. This is also where we are seeing as Miss Jacqueline Asea's journey as a South Sudan refugee in Olua refugee settlement in camp in the Juman district has also been full of thorns, but also one of the powerful testaments to her resilience and hope. Since her arrival, that's in 2016, Asea has faced harsh realities of displacement, including the absence of education opportunities, and she also faced sad realities of lack of support also for her education, which also really prompted her to also have a number of challenges. And today also really now she has also really got a chance of getting a skills, and that's why people of Jumani district, and most especially the refugees, are now crying also what we call for skills, because for her she has been skilled in the poultry, and where we're able to solely see her keeping a number of chicken, just like her. Definitely she is going to be empowered, and we believe many of the refugees also need the skills, because by the time they go back, they must go as people who are changed. And that's why we did see Peter Kware calling for solely people to address these challenges. And that's one thing also where we did see one of the managers at Y Global was able to solely say that these people have been trying also to also make sure that they have hope, which is really quite good. And at the end of the day, will also change their lives in there. Now, the background of the whole matter is that in 2020, a United Nations Children Fund report revealed a Jumani school report rate stood at a staggering at 71%, and of the people who studied primary one, on 39% sat for primary living examinations. Those are years later. Living also scores also not also undertaking the also fulfilling and completing the education cycle, and now they recommend vocational skills training programs to bridge this gap also for children and youth who have also missed out on formal education, as the country hosts more than refugees also to a population of about 1.2 million. And this is the third refugee hosting nation in the world, according to information which we are receiving. And definitely also you will get to realize that also it is very much important for us to skill these refugees before they go back. And that is one thing also which at the end of the day will be very, very much well for us to also be undertaking, and also see how, of course, we can best also really address those issues in there. Now, 2 drowned in Lake Victoria while washing carpet. Definitely this is a period where we're going to be having challenges. Now, people who have been also confirmed dead after drowning in Lake Victoria at Kayindi landing site in Buikwe district. Now, according to Anatoly Kiza, a resident that is of Chiyindi landing site, the incident occurred on Monday afternoon while the victims were washing a carpet. Now, the deceased has been identified as Julius Kayinji, 21-year-old, and Prince Tuimsime, a 14-year-old, both residents of Nakauma Cell in Chiyindi Town Council, Buikwe. This is now a 10-year-old boy, Jonathan Gidudu, who was also with them, narrowly survived after fishermen rescued him. And this is something which we did see where Mr. Joseph Chuanuka, another local resident, explained that instead of washing the carpet by the landing site, the victims ventured to a more isolated part of the lake shores where the water was a bit deeper. This goes back to our children. Let's tell them that not to also go into the water, most especially in the deeper spots of the water, to avoid drowning, because drowning is really some risk also which is associated with also with the waters. And within this period, it is actually where we have had recently water levels rising. So I think it's also very much important for the people to also understand that indeed some of these areas are not well. Now, Sezibwa Police spokesman Ms. Helen Butoto confirmed the incident, stating that the drowning was reported to the police by Joel Waswa, also really a Chiindi resident. Now, police also really were able, with the help also of local fishermen, conduct a search for the victims, where they were able to retrieve the bodies and handed them over to their relatives for burial, and urged the parents to monitor their children's activities during the long holidays. They should not also be sent out without company of an adult. That's something which I want to remind of. We may be talking about this happening in Lake Victoria. What about in River Nile, where we also have the waters, most especially for people residing along Pakwach, most especially those along Madiokolo, and then parts of Zombo? Definitely, we are also seeing the River Nile also passing in there. Though that is also one thing which we feel people must be sensitized about, because it may not even necessarily be River Nile. What about other rivers like River Nyau and many others which are also within the Western sub-region? Means as parents, let's not allow our children move into those areas without the company of an adult, because they risk also the threats of dying. Now, a recent report from the World Health Organization on drowning prevention released in Kampala last Friday indicates that Uganda reported a total of 1,332 drowning deaths in 2018, and by 2021, World Health Organization global estimates placed the number of deaths at 2,000. Now, data from Life Saving Association of Uganda, a non-profit organization working on drowning prevention, highlights such areas as Masaka, Jinja, Serere, Mayuge, and Rakai as drowning spots. Now, the World Health Organization, of course, reports also identified gaps in water safety measures for young people, including that is also the measures for young people to also take care of themselves. First of all, daycare services to provide children near waters, and the absence of schools also in other areas. Remember recently when we were able to see sad stories of the rising water levels in Uganda, and we had stories of some communities being cut off. These are actually the risk groups also to drowning. So it means there's something also which we must do, and schools therefore must be established in all areas, most especially areas that also are affected by floods. And that will be very, very much well for us to also be seeing all this. Now, leaving that discussion aside, government in talks also with in consultations for coffee sector policy reforms, and that's what we are seeing on the morning this morning, where government has started consultations in line also with adopting policy reforms to boost Uganda's coffee sector. And this is according to information we received from officials. And the reforms include as aspect of value addition to Ugandan coffee. And if you talk about value addition, this is actually something which I feel is long overdue, and something we actually did yesterday, because most of our coffee is being exported in raw format, and the returns do not match actually our exports. Definitely the imports and the exports do not match out. Let's talk about coffee. A kilo of coffee today at most is going at 4,000. What about a 500 gram of a processed coffee? How much does it cost? Definitely you must also be making sure that you assess and also do that comparison. Then you realize solely our coffee is being exported in raw format, which is actually exploiting the farmers. And that means if we start embracing on value addition, if let's say we start exporting processed coffee, then many of us are going to be getting money from that. Now, government has started consultations in line with adopting policy reforms to boost Uganda's coffee sector, and this is according to information from officials. Now, the reforms include aspect that is of value addition, and the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja noted that once coffee is locally processed, Uganda has the potential to overtake major processed coffee export countries like Switzerland, Germany, Netherlands, and the United States of America, not forgetting Brazil, where we're actually seeing coffee being also processed and grown in very many countries. And if you look at countries in South America, definitely also many of them are into coffee growth there, and they have also actually risen to also become the global also leaders in coffee exportation. Just like that, and I believe if Uganda also adopted the same strategy, we never know in the next coming 10 years, we could actually join the global markets and compete for the global market in terms of coffee exports. and that would also be very, very much well for us to also undertake. Now, in her message delivered by that third Deputy Prime Minister, that is Rukia Nakadama, at the closure of the high-level policy dialogue that's on intended on policy institutions and the coffee sector program review on December 17, 2004 in Kampala, and that was last month, Parliament passed the National Coffee Amendment Bill integrating Uganda Coffee Development Authority back into the Mother Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries in there, and this was part of the government's program also to make sure that some agencies are merged. And today many people have not been happy about this merger, most especially one also that affected the UCDA, because UCDA, according to them, had done its part in terms of making sure there is an increase in terms of coffee production. Today, Uganda also, if you look at also Uganda, where you will get that some areas have embraced coffee production. But in Western Sub-region, we have not also embraced it as much, and definitely we also have the ability, we have the capacity also of benefiting and tapping into the coffee market if most of us embrace it. Let's talk about Buganda. The Mwanyiteri Imba campaign strategy is really working for the people of that sub-region. Why? Because they were able to also really understand what exactly coffee is all about. And many of them have actually now embraced coffee growth. And that is how they are also tapping in that coffee market, which is also globally presented to them. And that means if you are going to be growing this coffee, you are actually at the verge of also benefiting. While presenting the key findings from the policy issues and program, also the review of the coffee sector in Uganda, economist Dr. Fred Muhumuza said there is need for local business entities interested in value addition to engage in business-to-business conversations for partnerships with global actors. In September 2024, Uganda's coffee exports amounted to about 52,226 kilogram bags, that's worth 144.7 million US dollars. And this comprised of 504,576 bags of Robusta valued at about 137.19 million US dollars and 27,636 bags of the Arabica coffee, which was valued at about shilling 7.5 million US dollars. And this is actually where government of Uganda has been able to solely assess the country's exports to the global markets, which is really something which I feel is very, very much good for us to solely embrace. And definitely we must also be able to sort of rally our families by that to make sure that we also really benefit from that. Now, audit police operations for budgetary inefficiencies, another story we are seeing, where this week we are able to also see some stories being now the police, which is charged with protecting life and property of dozens and millions of people, as well as protecting the law and order in these turbulent times, should be also running out of crucial supplies such as fuel. And this kind of strategy has the effect of largely grounding the police, and that is why many people feel the police must be empowered when it comes to their budget, and this is also to help address issues of inefficiencies in the system. And this is where we only need a call to say, police, this is what is happening here within 2 minutes. We need police on ground, and that will also help bring down the issues of corruption, maybe criminal cases being also brought down, and as well as also arresting those criminals. And this is where we are still following up on that, and we want to see, of course, this will be able to be undertaken, and that would, at the end of the day, make those people who had lost trust in the police system also really to now once again have trust in the system. And that is one thing also which we are keenly following up on, and we would also be letting you know of what's happening. Now, this is also where we now need to let you know of what's happening in the international world. And this is on the explainer. Who are the immigrants who could be targeted in Trump's mass deportation plans? Another story which we are seeing on the monitor. This is reported by the Reuters. And many people may be asking questions because they may now be living under fear. When Donald Trump was elected a few months ago, one of the issues that he talked about in his foreign policy is actually deporting those illegal immigrants into the U.S. And now that's where we are now seeing President-elect Donald Trump plans to launch a mass deportation operation targeting millions of immigrants living in the U.S. illegally and with temporary also protections once he takes over office in January 20th. A challenging initiative also that could split apart families and affect the U.S. business. And now there are also roughly 11 million immigrants in the United States said to be legally also residing in there with temporary status as per 2022, and the figure that also some analysts say has increased that to 13 to 14 million. As those with temporary protections are not also to immediately be deported, and many also live in sanctuary states. with also limited cooperation with federal immigrants also enforcement, and that is why also we feel people must also be able to also understand. And now somebody may be asking, what about those also in those states also reside in those areas, what we call sanctuary states. These are actually areas where there's not much influence. For instance, America, we have mainly two groups, the Democrats and also the liberals. These are areas where these areas not have much influence. They are neutral. These are neutral areas actually where there is no much also the issues of maybe political influence. But now we are seeing many of them living in there. And now in his new policy, he actually mentioned he will be dealing with this group. And maybe how will this imply, and what will this exactly mean, that is to those people in those areas who could also be able to be affected by this. Definitely we're keenly following up on that, and we want to see how, of course, it will be ending. That brings us to the end of also the show, but before that we are going to be letting you know of the results happening in the world of sports. And starting it off right before Big League, we were able to see games being played yesterday where Gaddafi was able to beat Busoga by 3-0. This is for Big League. And Buhimba had a goalless draw. That was on the 15th with Blacks Power. And Tunga Saze also on the 15th as well also lost. That was able to beat Arahil by 3-2. And those are some of the games that we were able to see also happening in there. And now somebody may be asking which are some of those games coming up. Definitely we shall be seeing for Big League returning on the 22nd, where we shall be seeing a game between Arahil Sports Club taking on Gaddafi, where we shall be seeing Blacks Power, as well as playing Maida. Boma will be taking on Tunga Saze, as Karo Karunji will be up in action against Paida Black Angels. Kataka will be featuring Buhimba, and Chigezi Homeboys will be hosting on the Baraka Football Club, and Chiinda Boys will be up in action against Calvary Midigo, and Buhimba Boys will be returning there in the 5th of next year, and that means that is how also the for Big League is looking like. Maybe somebody may also be interested in wanting to know how the table standings for the for Big League look like. Definitely, this is actually where the eyes of many people are also out, and they want to see how, of course, this will be also the ending. And really, I want to show you that is also how interesting it is getting. The for Big League is actually getting very, very much interesting. But more of that will also be coming through on our subsequent programs. That is on the Whistle Time with Owen Zaga. But today we shall be having a broadcast of a live game that is in Yumbe district, that is of the Shea Nut Conservation Tournament. That is aiming to raise awareness about the Shea Nut tree species that is facing extinction. That game will be live on Western Television, and that means for you who may not also have the opportunity of traveling to Midigo, where this game is being played, definitely you will be having an opportunity to watch it live on your screens. And the team will be here to also give you that. Looking at the for Big League, Gaddafi is on top of the log. In the second place is Blacks Power. Ondupaga Football Club is in the 3rd place, and New Calvary is in the 4th place, and the tables keep on changing, remember. And Buhimba is the 5th place, Boma are in the 6th place, and by the Black Angels on the 7th, and on the 8th is Chiinda Homeboys, and on the 9th is Kataka. And Chigezi Homeboys are on the 10th place, Ntunga Saze on the 11th. On the 12th position is Karo Karunji. Arrow is on the 13th, as Busoga United is on the 14th. Meanwhile, Maida is on the tail of the log in there also. That's how the Football Big League table standings look like. And as somebody may be interested in wanting to know also what's happening in the Times Uganda Premier League. Very many games also have been played already. And that is where we're seeing a lot of competition happening in there. And of course, all that is also happening for those who also do not know what exactly is making rounds. Also where we had a number of games. And definitely we had games yesterday. And tonight, I believe also some possibly may be heading out. What some of the games that we'll be happening tonight. But all in all, I want to assure you that the leagues are getting better across the globe, and definitely that is where also the people may also be finding it difficult. And now looking at the Big League round 13, we had games only yesterday where we were able to see Bright Stars beating UPDF by 2-1. Bull and Neck Football Club had a 1-1 draw, and of course our own Gaddafi Wahab was able to also provide an assist in this game in there, and that is how we were able to see Neck playing also to a 1-1 draw in there, and that is exactly what we're seeing. And remember, today we shall be seeing the Southern Uganda Premier League returning, And of course, we shall be seeing Police taking on Maroons, as URA Sports Club will be taking on Lugazi Soccer Club, and Mbali Heroes will be up in action against Viper Sports Club, and Kampala Capital City Authority will be taking also the Villa in the Kampala Derby in the Chitara Football Club will be hosting Express Football Club, and these are some of the games that will be coming up today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And these are some of those games which I feel you as the viewer should also be in the know of. And if you look at the table standings, that is actually where somebody also will be interested in wanting to know. NEC is currently sitting on top of the log. In the second place is Viper Sports Club. KCA is in third place, and this is also where we are seeing Express in the fourth. In the fifth place is URA, in the sixth place is Police, and the seventh is UPDF. On the eighth is Villa. On the ninth position is Bull Football Club. On the 10th is Maroons, and in the 11th position is Kitara Football Club, and on the 12th position is Lugazi, and on the 13th place is Mara City. 14th is Bright Stars, and the 15th position is Wakiso Giants, as Mbale Heroes is the last team on the log in there. And that is how the Southern Uganda Premier League tables look like. And that means for those who also are interested in following these leagues, definitely that is how the table standings look like. And definitely I will also be letting you know what is happening internationally. Remember, as I am told, we shall be having a live broadcast that is of the game between the teams that have been competing. 13 teams have been competing. That is in Yumbe District for the Shea Nut Conservation Tournament. This is all aiming to raise awareness about this tournament, and about these three species. Yesterday we had guests, that is from also the organizers, and we were able to also receive the CEO, that is of the Shea Nut Natural Oils and Conservation Tournament. That is Ijot Lemuran also here, together with the organizer, that is Miraj Killer, one of the footballers who also played at also up the national level, playing for some of the teams here. Definitely he was also here to also give you a brief of what's happening and how these games are going to be organized. And that is how maybe the things went on. And yesterday we also had a number of games. Remember, as we're running out of time, we had also the Carabao Cup also returning. Today also we shall be having more games, and we are able to see Arsenal beating Crystal Palace by 3-2. As Newcastle was able to beat Brentford by 3-1, Southampton also was able to lose to Liverpool by 2-1, and this is how it was. In La Liga, we also had games. Espanyol was able to have a 1-1 draw with Valencia, and Villarreal had a 1-1 draw with Rayo Vallecano, and these are actually how the different leagues also were able to go on. And tonight, we shall be having one game that's in the EFL, what we call the Carabao Cup, as Tottenham Hotspur will be taking on Manchester United, another interesting game, which also you deserve also not to miss out. And that is how we shall be seeing that as more details of what's happening in the world of sports will be coming through in our subsequent program. That is of the Wisher Time, where we shall be seeing the team bringing to some of those results. And on the Nilecast, as Benson Pastore will be giving you also really the results of some of the games which I was not able to give you because of time. For now, we are stepping out. Up next is the news bulletin. Ilugba tweet for time. It's a double remitarian gonde. And I'll be able to read tesuni. Irini muzumini ola zubu lugba tsidizu. Gama pasani amera medika sa vlersi. Ma emisa fosini.